Grade 12. Major English. An Introduction to Language and Linguistics. I. Introduction to Language Studies. Multiple choice questions. 1. Which of the following classifications of language is based on the assumption that languages have diverged from a common ancestor? A. Genetic. B. Typological. C. Language origin. D. Sino-Tibetan. 2. Thou is a word spoken in, period. A. Modern English. B. Old English. C. Language family. D. Postmodern. 3. Which language family includes most of the languages spoken in most of Europe and areas of Southwest and South Asia? A. Indo-European. B. Sino-Tibetan. C. Dravidian. D. Niger-Congo family. 4. Ket language is under language family. A. Indo-European. B. Austroasiatic. C. Sino-Tibetan. D. Niger-Congo family. 5. Which of the following is not the cause of language change? A. Fashion. B. Foreign influence. C. Borrowing. D. Language death. 6. Which of the following statements is true regarding language death? A language dies when nobody speaks that language. B. A language dies when all speak that language. C. A language dies when a community uses it in everyday communication. D. A language dies when it has proper books, materials published and used in academic language. 7. Which of the following is not a variety of language? A. Dialect. B. Pidgin. C. Creole. D. Language family. 8. Of all that is written, I love what a person hath written with his blood. Write with blood, and how wilt find that blood is spirit? Is A. Register. A. Literature-based. B. Media-based. C. Linguistics-based. D. Science-based. 9. A pidgin is a language with native speakers. A. Many. B. Few. C. No. D. Large. 10. When a pidgin is acquired by native speakers it becomes A. Pidgin. B. Creole. C. Dialect. D. Idiolect. Extra MCQs. 1. What is a common characteristic of minority languages? A. They have a larger number of speakers compared to dominant languages. B. They are the official languages of a country. C. They are spoken by the majority ethnic group in a region. D. They often have cultural or regional significance. 2. What is the main reason for the endangerment of a language? A. A large number of speakers across generations. B. High levels of official recognition and support. C. The dominance of the language in international communication. D. Declining numbers of speakers and lack of intergenerational transmission. 3. Which term refers to languages that are at risk of disappearing or becoming extinct? A. Minority languages. B. Endangered languages. C. Dominant languages. D. Creole languages. 4. What is the primary concern with language endangerment? A. A surplus of speakers leading to linguistic homogeneity. B. A reduction in cultural diversity and heritage. C. An increase in linguistic borrowing from other languages. D. An improvement in intergenerational transmission. 5. Which type of language often serves as an official language of a country and is used in various domains? A. Minority languages. B. Endangered languages. C. Dominant languages. D. Creole languages. 6. What is the significance of dominant languages? A. They are only used in small, specific contexts. B. They are usually spoken by minority groups. C. They have a large number of speakers and influence. D. They are at risk of disappearing due to endangerment. 7. In what context might a minority language be spoken? A. Exclusively in government and official documents. B. Only within a particular ethnic group's social gatherings. C. In a wide range of domains, including education and media. D. Mainly in international business transactions. 8. What is a notable consequence of language endangerment? A. Increased cultural exchange and enrichment. B. Preservation of linguistic diversity and heritage. C. Creation of new languages through contact. D. Loss of cultural identity and heritage. 9. Which term refers to languages used by a smaller linguistic community within a larger society? A. Dominant languages. B. Endangered languages. C. Minority languages. D. Creole languages. 10. Why are efforts to protect and promote minority and endangered languages important? A. They prioritize the dominance of a single language. B. They support linguistic homogeneity. C. They contribute to cultural diversity and heritage preservation. D. They eliminate the need for multilingual education. 11. What is a pidgin language? A. A highly complex language used for formal communication. B. A language spoken by native communities. C. A makeshift language used for basic communication between speakers of different languages. D. A language that has an extensive vocabulary from various languages. 12. In which situations do pidgins typically emerge? A. Within a single native language community. B. During language standardization efforts. C. In situations of trade, colonization, or contact between groups with distinct languages. D. Among highly educated individuals. 13. Which of the following is not a characteristic of pidgins? A. Simplified grammar. B. Extensive vocabulary. C. Limited vocabulary. D. Phonological simplification. 14. What allows for easy communication in pidgins despite different language structures? A. Complex verb conjugations. B. Noun declensions. C. Flexible word order. D. Inflexible word order. 15. When a pidgin becomes the native language of a community, what process does it undergo? A. Pidginization. B. Colonization. C. Creolization. D. Standardization. 16. What triggers the process of creolization? A. Exposure to complex grammar. B. Learning and internalizing the pidgin from an early age. C. Exposure to multiple languages. D. Participation in formal language courses. 17. Which of the following is a characteristic of Creole languages? A. Limited vocabulary. B. Native speakers passing down a different language. C. Simplified grammar compared to pidgins. D. Development of complex grammatical structures. 18. What does the term broadening refer to in linguistics? A. Reduction of a word's meaning over time. B. Expansion of a word's meaning to encompass a wider range of reference. C. Process of creating a new word in a language. D. Shift from one language to another. 19. What is the main factor contributing to language death? A. Increase in native speakers. B. Spread of language to different regions. C. Reduced use and intergenerational transmission. D. Simplified vocabulary. 20. What is a common reason for language shift within a speech community? A. Preservation of cultural heritage. B. Desire to maintain a distinct identity. C. Dominance of a more prestigious or widely spoken language. D. Economic stability of the community. 21. How many languages are documented in Nepal? A. 92. B. 123. C. 129. D. 104. 22. Which language family does the Kasunda language belong to? A. Indo-European. B. Sino-Tibetan. C. Austroasiatic. D. Language isolate. 23. What percentage of Nepal's population speaks the 19 major mother tongues? A. 4%. B. 44.64%. C. 96%. D. 80%. 24. Which language family includes languages spread over eastern, central, and western mountains and hills in Nepal? A. Indo-European. B. Sino-Tibetan. C. Austroasiatic. D. Dravidian. 25. What is the official language of Nepal? A. Maithili. B. Nepali. C. Tharu. D. Tamang. 26. Which language family is associated with the language isolate Kasunda? A. Indo-European. B. Sino-Tibetan. C. Austroasiatic. D. Dravidian. 27. How many mother tongues make up the minor group in Nepal's language categorization? A. 19. B. 92. C. 104. D. 123. 28. What is the primary factor that contributes to language death? A. Language contact. B. Migration. C. Decrease in prestige. D. Loss of native speakers. 29. Which language family has the largest number of languages spoken in Nepal? A. Indo-European. B. Sino-Tibetan. C. Austroasiatic. D. Dravidian. 30. How do dialects differ from registers in terms of variation? A. Dialects are context-dependent, while registers are region-dependent. B. Dialects are region-dependent, while registers are context-dependent. C. Dialects only involve vocabulary changes, while registers involve grammar changes. D. Dialects are more formal, while registers are informal. B. Answer the following questions. 1. What do you mean by language family? How are languages classified into language families? Or, classify the language families and briefly describe them. Give examples of each. Or, what are the major language families? Describe them. Language families are groups of languages that share a common ancestor, known as a proto-language. Languages within the same family are believed to have evolved from a common source and exhibit similarities in their grammar, vocabulary, and phonetics. Languages are classified into language families based on their historical and evolutionary relationships. The process of classifying languages into families involves identifying similarities and shared features among different languages, which suggest a common ancestry or a shared origin. A. Indo-European. The Indo-European language family is one of the largest and most widespread language families in the world. It includes languages spoken across Europe, South Asia, and parts of Central Asia. B. Sino-Tibetan. The Sino-Tibetan language family encompasses languages spoken in East Asia and Southeast Asia. C. Afroasiatic. The Afroasiatic language family spans across regions in North Africa, the Horn of Africa, and parts of the Middle East. D. Austronesian. The Austronesian language family is mainly spoken in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. It is one of the largest language families in terms of the number of languages. E. Niger-Congo. The Niger-Congo language family covers a vast area of sub-Saharan Africa and contains a large number of languages. It's important to note that language classification can be a complex and evolving field, and there may be variations in the classification of certain languages or families among linguistic researchers. Additionally, some languages may have features that make them challenging to categorize unequivocally. Language families are an important way of organizing and understanding the vast diversity of languages spoken around the world. By classifying languages into families, linguists can trace the historical and geographic spread of languages, study language change and evolution, and gain insights into the cultural and social interactions between different language communities. 2. Briefly explain the major characteristics of Creole. Creole languages are a fascinating linguistic phenomenon that emerge when people with different native languages come into contact and need to communicate. Here are some major characteristics of Creole languages. A creolization. Creole languages are born from a process known as creolization. This occurs when speakers of diverse languages come together and develop a simplified, hybrid language for communication. B. A lexicon. Creole languages often have a lexicon, vocabulary, that draws from the languages of the different groups involved in the language's formation. However, the majority of the vocabulary tends to come from the dominant language. C. A grammar. Creole grammars tend to be simpler and more streamlined compared to the languages from which they originate. They often exhibit reduced inflectional systems and fewer grammatical rules. D. Phonetics and phonology. Creole languages may have distinct phonetic and phonological features influenced by the various languages spoken by the community. However, they usually have a smaller number of distinct sounds compared to the parent languages. E. Syntax. Creole languages generally have a subject-verb-object (SVO) word order, which is simpler compared to the more complex word orders found in some parent languages. F. Development in isolation. Creole languages often develop in isolation, away from the influence of the original parent languages. This isolation contributes to their distinct characteristics. G. Social and historical context. Creole languages are closely tied to the social and historical context of their formation. They emerge as a result of language contact in situations like colonization, slavery, or trade. H. Stability and complexity. Creole languages can become stable and self-sustaining languages in their own right. Over time, they may evolve and develop their own unique linguistic complexities and features. I. Global distribution. Creole languages exist in various parts of the world, including the Caribbean, West Africa, Indian Ocean regions, and beyond. It's essential to note that the characteristics of Creole languages can vary widely depending on the specific context and the languages involved in their creation. Each Creole language has its own unique history and linguistic features, making them an intriguing area of study for linguists and anthropologists. 3. Define dialect and classify it. Dialect refers to a particular variety of a language spoken by a specific group of people within a particular geographical area or social community. Dialects typically differ from each other in terms of pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, and sometimes even in the use of certain idiomatic expressions. Dialects arise due to historical, geographical, and social factors, and they reflect the unique linguistic traits of the communities that use them. Dialects can be classified into two main categories. A. Regional dialects. Regional dialects are variations of a language that develop in different geographical regions. These dialects emerge due to limited communication and interaction between different communities, leading to linguistic differences. Regional dialects can vary significantly in pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. In some cases, regional dialects may be mutually intelligible with the standard language, while in others, the differences might be more substantial. Example: English has several regional dialects, such as American English, British English, Australian English, and Scottish English. Each of these dialects has unique features that set it apart from the others. B. Social dialects, sociolects. Social dialects, also known as sociolects, are variations of a language used by specific social or cultural groups within a given region. These dialects emerge based on factors like socioeconomic status, ethnicity, age, education level, or occupation. Sociolects often involve vocabulary choices, word usage, and specific expressions that are characteristic of a particular social group. Example, in some English-speaking communities, there may be distinct sociolects associated with certain professions, such as medical professionals using specialized medical jargon or teenagers using unique slang terms. It's important to note that the distinction between regional and social dialects is not always clear-cut, as some dialectal variations can be influenced by both regional and social factors. Additionally, dialects are not considered incorrect forms of a language, they are legitimate linguistic varieties that reflect the rich diversity of human communication. Linguists study dialects to better understand language variation and its relation to culture, history, and society. 4. Define register and discuss its types. A register is a language variety used by a particular group of persons, usually sharing the same occupation or the same interest. Choice of words and phrases according to the field determines the type of register. It is related to the particular use or the manner of using the language. For example, English used in teaching is different from its use in journalism. Some examples of register in the English language are given below. Register of Linguistics, Education. The Register of Linguistics is a type of language used to describe different aspects and components of language. Linguistics makes use of specific terms such as nouns, verbs, and adjectives to describe word classes, and phoneme, morpheme, phrase, clause and sentence to analyze different levels of language. Likewise, the language of linguistics is often descriptive and objective. Register of Humanities and Social Sciences. Humanities refer to the different fields of study related to human society and culture. They include, among others, literature, philosophy, and history. On the other hand, social sciences include sociology, anthropology, economics, law, media, and so on. Humanities and social sciences are related to each other because both fields of study are concerned with human life. These areas also differ from other fields with respect to the language use. Register of the Media. The register of the media refers to the language used in mass communication, which includes broadcasting, news publishing, and the internet. The main goal of the mass media is to inform the people about the current affairs about politics, health, sports, market, entertainment, and so on. So its language is normally informative, descriptive, neutral, and objective. Register in literature. The language of literature is called literary language. It differs from the everyday use of language in both word choice and grammar. Literary language is rich in figures of speech, phonological repetition, and grammatical deviation. To be specific, the register of literature includes poetic language and use of archaic, old, words. 5. Define the term pidginization. How does it differ from creolization? Pidginization is a linguistic process that occurs when speakers of different languages come into contact and need to communicate but lack a common language. As a result, they create a simplified and makeshift language, known as a pidgin, which combines elements from the various languages involved. Pidginization typically happens in situations of trade, colonization, or other forms of contact between groups with distinct native languages. Characteristics of pidginization. A simplified grammar. Pidgins often have a simplified grammar compared to the parent languages. They may lack complex verb conjugations, noun declensions, and other intricate grammatical structures. B. Limited vocabulary. Pidgins tend to have a limited vocabulary, drawing words from the languages of the groups involved in their creation, but without fully encompassing the lexicon of any single language. C. Phonological simplification. Pidgins may have a reduced number of distinct sounds compared to the parent languages, making the pronunciation simpler. D. Flexible word order. Pidgins usually exhibit a more flexible word order, such as subject-verb-object, SVO, or verb-subject-object, VSO, which allows for easy communication despite different language structures. Creolization, on the other hand, is a subsequent linguistic process that occurs when a pidgin evolves into a more complex and stable language with native speakers. Creolization happens when children born into the pidgin-speaking community start acquiring the pidgin as their first language and use it as their primary means of communication. As these children learn and internalize the Pidgin, it undergoes significant linguistic expansion and development. It evolves into a fully fledged Creole language with its own grammar, vocabulary, and syntax. Characteristics of Creolization. Native speakers. Creoles have native speakers who acquire the language as their mother tongue. These speakers pass the Creole on to the next generation as a first language. B. Complex grammar. Unlike Pidgins, Creoles develop more complex grammatical structures over time. They develop a consistent set of rules for conjugating verbs, forming plurals, and other aspects of syntax. C. Expanded vocabulary. Creoles expand their vocabulary beyond the limited lexicon of the original Pidgin, incorporating new words and expressions from the everyday experiences of their speakers. D. Stable and self-sustaining. Creoles become stable languages used for various purposes, including everyday communication, literature, and formal settings. In summary, Pidginization is the initial creation of a simplified language used for communication between speakers of different native languages. When that Pidgin becomes the first language of a community and undergoes further linguistic development, it becomes a Creole. Creole. Creolization represents the maturation and stabilization of the language into a fully developed linguistic system with native speakers. 6. Discuss foreign influence as one of the causes of language change. Foreign influence is a significant cause of language change and has been a common phenomenon throughout history. When languages come into contact with speakers of other languages, they often undergo various changes due to the influence of the foreign language. This can happen through trade, conquest, colonization, migration, or cultural interactions. Here are some ways in which foreign influence leads to language change. Borrowing and loanwords. When speakers of one language encounter new concepts, products, or ideas from another language, they may adopt words from the foreign language into their own vocabulary. These borrowed words, known as loanwords, often represent cultural or technological advancements that do not have a direct equivalent in the native language. Example: English has borrowed words from various languages, such as piano from Italian, karaoke from Japanese, and chocolate from Nahuatl. B. Semantic shift. Foreign influence can lead to changes in the meaning of existing words in a language. As loanwords are introduced, their meanings may adapt to fit the cultural context and needs of the receiving language community. Example: the English word awful originally meant full of awe but shifted in meaning over time to its current sense of very bad due to changes in usage influenced by Norman French. C. Grammar and syntax. Contact with a foreign language can influence the grammatical and syntactical structures of a language. Elements of the foreign language's grammar may be incorporated into the native language, leading to changes in sentence construction and word order. Example: the English language has been influenced by Old Norse, which contributed to the development of the pronoun they as a singular gender-neutral pronoun. D. Phonological change. Exposure to a foreign language can also affect the pronunciation of a native language. Speakers may adopt foreign sounds, intonation patterns, or accents, resulting in phonological shifts over time. Example: the pronunciation of certain English words changed with French influence after the Norman conquest, affecting the way words were spoken. E. Code switching. In multilingual communities, speakers may switch between languages during conversation. Code switching can lead to cross-fertilization between languages and influence their grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure. Example: bilingual speakers might use both English and Spanish words in their conversation, creating a linguistic blend that reflects the influence of both languages. Language change due to foreign influence is a natural and ongoing process that enriches languages and reflects the dynamic interactions between cultures. These changes may lead to the formation of new dialects, Creole languages, or other linguistic innovations, highlighting the interconnectedness of human societies through language. 7. Discuss the concepts of minority, endangered and dominant languages. The concepts of minority, endangered, and dominant languages are crucial in understanding the linguistic diversity and dynamics within a society. These terms describe the status and condition of different languages in relation to their prevalence, vitality, and potential for continued use and survival. Let's explore each concept. Minority languages. Minority languages are languages spoken by a minority group within a larger multilingual society. The term minority refers to the relative numerical size of the language community compared to other linguistic groups in the same region or country. Minority languages are often associated with ethnic, cultural, or regional identity and have a significant role in preserving and promoting the heritage of the communities that use them. Characteristics: smaller number of speakers compared to dominant languages. Often linked to specific cultural and ethnic groups. May face challenges in terms of education, media representation, and official recognition. Example: in certain regions of Spain, Basque is considered a minority language spoken by the Basque people. B. Endangered languages. Endangered languages are languages at risk of disappearing or becoming extinct in the near future. The endangerment of a language can be due to various factors, including declining numbers of speakers, lack of intergenerational transmission, and the dominance of more widely spoken languages in a region. Language endangerment is a pressing issue as it leads to a loss of cultural heritage and linguistic diversity. Characteristics: small number of speakers, often with no new generations learning the language. Few domains of language use, limited to specific contexts like home or religious rituals. Often underrepresented in education, media, and official documentation. Example: many indigenous languages around the world are considered endangered due to declining numbers of speakers and insufficient language revitalization efforts. C. Dominant languages. Dominant languages are languages with a large number of speakers and significant influence within a particular region or society. These languages often serve as lingua francas or official languages of countries, and they are used in a wide range of domains, including education, government, media, and business. Characteristics: large number of speakers and widespread use. High social and economic value, leading to its dominance in various domains. Often the language of instruction in education and the primary means of communication in urban areas. Example: English, with its global spread and widespread use in international communication, is considered a dominant language. These concepts are essential in language planning and policymaking, as understanding the status of languages in a society can help determine appropriate measures for language preservation, revitalization, or support. Efforts to protect and promote minority and endangered languages contribute to the preservation of cultural diversity and linguistic heritage worldwide. 8. Discuss the languages spoken in Nepal. Or explain the current linguistic scenario of Nepal. Nepal is a linguistically diverse country. There are 129 languages documented in Nepal. The official language of Nepal is Nepali. The number of mother tongues has increased considerably from 92, census 2001, to 123, census of 2011, languages. Due to democratic movements and ensuing linguistic awareness among Nepalese people. These mother tongues, except Kasunda, belong to 4 language families: Indo-European, Sino-Tibetan, Austroasiatic and Dravidian, while Kasunda is a language isolate. They have been categorized into 2 main groups, major and minor. The major group consists of 19 mother tongues spoken by almost 96% of the total population, while the minor group is made up of the remaining 104 plus languages spoken by about 4% of Nepal's total population. Nepali, highly concentrated in the hills, but unevenly distributed in other parts of the country, accounts for the largest number of speakers, 44.64%. Several cross-border, foreign and recently migrated languages have also been reported in Nepal. There are a large number of minority languages spread over a wide geographical area. They have few speakers. This has resulted in a decline of minority languages in Nepal. The speakers of minority languages are taught Nepali. As a result, there is a gradual shift from mother tongues to the Nepali language. There are 4 language families spoken in Nepal. They are Indo-European, Sino-Tibetan, Austroasiatic and Dravidian. Indo-Aryan languages belong to the Indo-European family. They are distributed from the eastern hills to the western hills and from the Terai region to the far western mountain. The Indo-Aryan family forms the largest group of languages in terms of speakers, 80%. It consists of 48 languages including Nepali. The following languages spoken in Nepal come under this group, the population monograph of Nepal. They are as follows: Nepali, Maithili, Bhojpuri, Tharu, etc. The Sino-Tibetan language family includes 68 languages. These languages mainly spread over the eastern, central and western mountains and hills. They are as follows: Tamang, Newar, Megar, Limbu, Gurung, Rai, etc. In Nepal, Austric languages are spoken by the ethnic groups living in the eastern Terai, southern parts of Japa and Morang districts, known as Santhali. The speakers of these languages make up approximately 0.19% of the total population of Nepal. The following diagram shows the genetic affiliation of Austro-Austric languages spoken in Nepal as mentioned in the population monograph of Nepal. In the Dravidian language family, Uranu is the only language spoken in Nepal. There is no language spoken under the Niger-Congo family. 9. Distinguish between dialect and register. Dialect and register are two distinct linguistic concepts that refer to different aspects of language variation. Here's how they differ. Dialect. Definition: a dialect is a particular variety of a language spoken by a specific group of people within a geographical area or social community. It represents regional or social variations in pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, and sometimes even syntax. Variation: dialects arise due to historical, geographical, and social factors, leading to differences in how language is used and understood among different groups of speakers. Context: dialects are more persistent and ingrained language variations that exist over a long period. They are part of the language's natural evolution and can have numerous sub-varieties within a single language. Example: American English and British English are considered dialects of the English language, with variations in pronunciation, e.g., water pronounced as water in the US and vavter in the UK, vocabulary, e.g., elevator versus lift, and certain grammatical structures, e.g., I have versus I have got. Register. Definition: register refers to the language style or level of formality used in a particular social context or situation. It involves adapting one's language according to the communicative needs and expectations of a specific audience, setting, or purpose. Variation: registers vary on a continuum from very formal to very informal, depending on the social context and participants involved in the communication. Context: register is context-dependent and can change within a single language based on the social setting, topic of conversation, or relationship between speakers. Example: a person might use a formal register in a business meeting or a job interview, an informal register when chatting with friends, and a technical register when discussing specialized topics within their profession. In summary, dialect refers to regional or social variations of a language, whereas register refers to the level of formality or style of language used in specific social contexts. Dialects are relatively stable and represent long-standing language variations, while registers are flexible and can change depending on the situation and participants involved in the communication. 10. What is language change? List the causes of language changes and explain any one of them. Language change refers to the natural and ongoing evolution of languages over time. Languages are dynamic systems that constantly undergo modifications in their vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and syntax. Language change is a normal and necessary process that occurs as languages interact with each other, adapt to new environments, and respond to the needs of their speakers. Causes of language change. At language contact, when speakers of different languages come into contact, either through trade, colonization, migration, or other forms of communication, there is a significant potential for language change. Contact between languages can lead to borrowing of words, grammatical structures, and phonetic features. B. Socio-cultural factors. Language is influenced by societal and cultural changes. Social developments, technological advancements, and shifts in cultural norms can introduce new concepts and vocabulary, leading to language adaptation. C. Language acquisition by children. As new generations of speakers learn and acquire a language, they might alter its structure or pronunciation, leading to gradual language change over time. D. Internal evolution. Even without external influences, languages naturally evolve due to internal factors, such as the simplification or regularization of grammar or phonetic changes that occur over generations. E. Language contact. In multilingual settings. In multilingual communities, speakers may switch between languages during conversation, leading to cross-fertilization between languages and influencing their vocabulary and syntax. F. Prestige and language standardization. The language used by influential groups or in prestigious domains, such as government, media, and education, can influence the standardization and modification of the language over time. 11. How does British English differ from American English? Exemplify in relation to spelling, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Or, what are the major differences between British English and American English? As we saw above, the same language differs in terms of regions, where it is spoken, and social classes, who speak it. This also applies to the English language, which is spoken differently in different parts of the world. It means that English has so many varieties, and British English and American English are dominant varieties. In Britain and America, English is spoken as a native language. Despite this, there are remarkable differences between them with respect to vocabulary, pronunciation, spelling, and grammar. British and American English are the regional varieties or dialects of the same language. A. Differences in vocabulary. British English. American English. Lorry. Truck. Holiday. Vacation. Jumper. Sweater. B. Difference in pronunciation. Word. British. American. Harry. Harry Harry near. N R near ask. ask /esk/. C. Differences in spelling. SN. British English. American English. 1. OU, color, behavior, mold. O, color, behavior, mold. 2. OG, analog, monologue, catalog. OG, analog, monologue, catalog. 3. L, enroll, fulfill, skillful. LL, enroll, fulfill, skillful. D. Differences in grammar. British. American. I've lost my key. Have you seen it? I lost my key. Did you see it? Have a bath/shower. Take a bath/shower. The differences in grammar between British and American English lie in the use of present perfect and simple past, have lost/lost, the use of shall and will, and the use of prepositions. 12. How does Indo-European language family differ from Niger-Congo family? The Indo-European and Niger-Congo language families are two of the largest and most significant language families in the world. Despite some shared linguistic features and historical connections, they differ in several fundamental ways. Geographical distribution. The Indo-European language family is widespread and covers a vast geographical area, including Europe, South Asia, Central Asia, the Middle East, and some parts of the Americas, Oceania, and Southeast Asia. It comprises many of the world's major languages, such as English, Spanish, Hindi, Russian, Bengali, and many others. Niger-Congo. The Niger-Congo language family is primarily concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa, spanning a massive area from Senegal and West Africa to Kenya and Tanzania in East Africa. It is one of the largest language families in terms of the number of languages, with over 1,500 languages belonging to various branches. B. Linguistic features. Indo-European languages tend to have relatively complex grammatical systems, including a rich inflectional system for nouns and verbs, a variety of tenses and moods, and a more elaborate system of grammatical gender in many of its branches. Niger-Congo languages often exhibit simpler grammatical structures compared to Indo-European languages. While there is some degree of inflection in certain Niger-Congo languages, it is generally less extensive than in Indo-European languages. C. Historical connections. Indo-European. The Indo-European language family is considered to have evolved from a common ancestral language known as Proto-Indo-European. The exact origins of this language remain a topic of scholarly debate, but it is generally believed to have emerged around 4500 to 2500 BCE. Niger-Congo. The Niger-Congo language family is not as well documented in terms of its historical origins. Scholars believe that it originated in West Africa and that its subgroups diverged over a long period. However, due to the lack of written records, the precise details of the family's history are less clear than those of the Indo-European family. D. Number of languages. Indo-European. The Indo-European family includes around 445 languages and is known for its large number of speakers, with several languages boasting hundreds of millions of speakers. Niger-Congo. The Niger-Congo family is extremely diverse and has over 1,500 languages, making it one of the most linguistically rich families in the world. However, many of these languages have fewer speakers and smaller geographic distributions compared to Indo-European languages. In summary, the Indo-European and Niger-Congo language families differ significantly in their geographical distribution, linguistic features, historical origins, and the number of languages they encompass. While Indo-European languages have a global presence and are spoken across multiple continents, the Niger-Congo family is concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa and exhibits a remarkable linguistic diversity within that region. 13. How does language shift result in language death? Provide examples from Nepalese society. Language shift refers to the process in which speakers of a particular language gradually stop using it in favor of adopting another language as their primary means of communication. Language shift can lead to language death, where a language loses its last native speakers and is no longer spoken as a first language within a community or region. Several factors contribute to language shift, including social, economic, political, and cultural influences. Examples of language shift and language death in Nepalese society. Maithili language. Maithili is an Indo-Aryan language spoken primarily in the Terai region of Nepal and some parts of India. It is one of the constitutionally recognized regional languages in Nepal. However, due to various socio-economic factors and the influence of the dominant Nepali language, Maithili has faced language shift over the years. Example, in some urban areas and schools, Nepali has become the primary language of education, leading to younger generations using Nepali more frequently than Maithili. As a result, the use of Maithili as the first language is declining, and the language is facing the risk of language death. Limbu language. Limbu is a Tibeto-Burman language spoken by the Limbu ethnic group in Nepal's eastern hilly regions. Like many minority languages, Limbu has experienced language shift as a result of various factors. Example, with the increasing migration of Limbu-speaking communities to urban centers and the prevalence of Nepali as the lingua franca, the younger generation of Limbu speakers is becoming more proficient in Nepali. As a consequence, they use Nepali more often, leading to a decline in the use of Limbu in daily life, education, and various social interactions. Kusunda language. Kusunda is an endangered language isolate spoken by the Kusunda people, an ethnic group in western Nepal. With a dwindling number of speakers and limited intergenerational transmission, Kusunda is on the brink of language death. Example, the Kusunda community has experienced significant cultural and linguistic assimilation into the dominant Nepali-speaking society. With the younger generation adopting Nepali as their main language, the use of Kusunda has become limited to a few elderly speakers, posing a significant threat to the language's survival. Language shift and language death are complex processes influenced by various social, political, and economic factors. The dominance of a more widely spoken language, urbanization, globalization, and lack of institutional support for minority languages are some of the challenges that contribute to the gradual erosion of linguistic diversity and the eventual death of languages like Maithili, Limbu, and Kusunda in Nepalese society. 14. How does register differ from one academic discipline to other? Exemplify a register used in linguistics and humanities. Register can vary significantly from one academic discipline to another due to the specific subject matter, methodologies, and conventions used within each field. Academic disciplines have their own specialized terminology, writing styles, and communication norms that reflect the unique needs and practices of the discipline. Let's examine how register differs between linguistics and humanities. Register in linguistics. Linguistics is the scientific study of language and its structure, encompassing various subfields such as phonetics, syntax, semantics, sociolinguistics, and psycholinguistics. The register used in linguistics is characterized by precision, technicality, and reliance on empirical evidence and data. Exemplary characteristics of linguistics register. Technical terminology. Linguistics employs specialized terminology, such as morpheme, phoneme, syntactic structure, pragmatics, and metathesis, which have specific meanings within the field. Formal writing style. Linguistics papers and research are typically written in a formal and objective style, using passive voice and third-person perspective. Citations and references. Linguists provide extensive citations and references to support their claims and to acknowledge prior research in the field. Example sentence: the study investigated the relationship between vowel duration and speech tempo in American English, employing a corpus-based analysis of conversational data. Register in humanities. Humanities encompass a broad range of academic disciplines, including literature, philosophy, history, art, and cultural studies. The register used in humanities is characterized by a more interpretive, subjective, and expressive approach. Exemplary characteristics of humanities register. Literary devices. In humanities disciplines like literature and poetry, writers often use literary devices such as metaphors, allegories, and symbolism to convey complex meanings. Reflective writing style. Humanities scholars may use a more reflective and subjective writing style, discussing personal insights and interpretations of texts and historical events. Historical and cultural context. Humanities research often delves into historical and cultural contexts to analyze and understand the works of art, literature, or philosophical ideas. Example sentence: the novel's protagonist, represented as an allegorical figure, embodies the struggle for freedom and justice, reflecting the author's critique of societal norms in 19th century Europe. In summary, the register in linguistics tends to be technical, empirical, and objective, with a focus on precise terminology and data-driven analysis. In contrast, the register in humanities leans more towards interpretive, subjective, and expressive language, with an emphasis on historical context and literary devices. Both registers are essential for fostering effective communication within their respective academic disciplines. 15. How is language death defined? Explain briefly. Language death is a linguistic term used to describe the complete extinction of a language when there are no remaining native speakers who use it as their first language within a community or region. It occurs when a language ceases to be transmitted to younger generations, leading to the loss of intergenerational language continuity. As a consequence, the language is no longer spoken in daily life, education, or social interactions, and it becomes dormant or extinct. Language death is a natural consequence of language shift, where speakers of a language gradually adopt another language as their primary means of communication. This shift can be caused by various factors, such as social, economic, political, and cultural influences, which lead to reduced use and eventual abandonment of the endangered language. Over time, the language loses its vitality, and if no efforts are made to revitalize or preserve it, it may reach a point where the last native speakers pass away, leading to the irreversible extinction of the language. Language death is a significant concern for linguistic diversity and cultural heritage, as it leads to the loss of unique knowledge systems, traditional practices, and cultural identities associated with the language. Efforts to document, revitalize, and maintain endangered languages are essential to prevent further language loss and to preserve the rich linguistic and cultural diversity of the world. 16. Which is the largest language family in the world? Describe. The largest language family in the world is the Indo-European language family. It is a vast and widespread language family that includes a wide range of languages spoken across multiple continents. Indo-European languages are spoken by billions of people as either their first or second language, making it one of the most significant language families in terms of both the number of languages and the number of speakers. Characteristics of the Indo-European language family. Geographic distribution. Indo-European languages are spoken in many regions around the world. The family covers most of Europe, large parts of Asia, including the Indian subcontinent and Central Asia, and the Americas, primarily due to European colonization. Diversity. The Indo-European language family is highly diverse, containing a wide range of languages with distinct grammatical structures, vocabularies, and phonetic features. The diversity is seen in the significant differences between, for example, English and Hindi or Russian and Greek. Major branches. The Indo-European family is traditionally divided into several major branches. Some of the most significant branches include Romance, derived from Latin. The Romance branch includes languages such as Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Germanic, includes English, German, Dutch, Swedish, and Danish, among others. Slavic, contains languages such as Russian, Polish, Czech, Ukrainian, and Bulgarian. Indo-Iranian, spoken in the Indian subcontinent and Iran, it includes languages like Hindi, Bengali, Punjabi, and Persian. Historical significance. The Indo-European language family has immense historical significance. Many of the world's ancient and classical languages belong to this family, such as Sanskrit, the ancient language of India, ancient Greek, Latin, the language of the Roman Empire, and Old Persian. Global influence. Due to the extensive colonization and exploration by European powers, many Indo-European languages, particularly English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Russian, have become global languages, used as official or second languages in multiple countries and international communication. Impact on linguistics. The study of Indo-European languages played a crucial role in the development of historical linguistics, a field that examines how languages change over time and how they are related to one another. The vastness and diversity of the Indo-European language family make it a fascinating subject of study for linguists and researchers interested in understanding the historical and cultural connections between languages spoken by billions of people worldwide. 17. Nepal is a multilingual country. Discuss. Yes, Nepal is a multilingual country with a rich linguistic diversity. It is home to a wide variety of languages spoken by different ethnic and cultural groups across the country. As a landlocked nation in South Asia, Nepal has a unique linguistic landscape shaped by its geographical, historical, and social factors. Linguistic diversity. Nepal is a linguistically diverse country, with over 120 languages spoken. These languages belong to various language families, including Indo-European, Tibeto-Burman, and Austroasiatic. Official language. Nepali, also known as Nepalese, is the official language of Nepal and serves as the lingua franca for communication among various linguistic groups. Regional languages. Apart from Nepali, several regional languages are recognized and spoken in specific areas. Some of the significant regional languages include Maithili, Bhojpuri, Newari, Tamang, Limbu, Rai, Magar, Tharo, Gurung, and others. Mother tongue education. The Nepalese government recognizes the importance of mother tongue education and aims to provide education in the mother tongue of students in the early grades. This helps preserve and promote linguistic diversity. Multilingual education. Due to the linguistic diversity in Nepal, many schools implement multilingual education, where students are taught in their native language alongside Nepali and English. Cultural significance. Language is deeply connected to cultural identity in Nepal. Each linguistic group has its own traditions, customs, and oral literature, contributing to the country's rich cultural heritage. Language contact. Language contact and code switching are common in Nepal, especially in urban areas and among educated populations. People often switch between languages to accommodate the linguistic diversity in their interactions. Endangered languages. While Nepali and some regional languages have a large number of speakers, many of Nepal's languages are endangered due to language shift and the influence of dominant languages. Nepal's multilingualism is a testament to the country's diverse and inclusive society. However, linguistic diversity also poses challenges, such as the need for effective language policies, maintaining linguistic rights, and ensuring equitable access to education and resources for all linguistic communities. Emphasizing multilingualism and promoting language diversity can contribute to the cultural richness and social cohesion of Nepal. 18. What are the causes of language change? Discuss them briefly. Language change is a natural and ongoing process that occurs in all languages over time. Various factors contribute to language change, leading to the evolution and transformation of linguistic systems. The causes of language change can be broadly categorized into internal and external factors. Let's discuss them briefly. 8. Internal factors. Internal factors refer to changes that arise within a language due to its internal structure and dynamics. These changes occur as a result of linguistic processes and interactions among speakers of the language. Irregular sound change. Over time, certain sounds in a language may undergo regular phonetic shifts or changes. This can happen due to assimilation, dissimilation, vowel shifts, or other phonological processes. 2. Grammaticalization. Grammaticalization is the process by which words or phrases evolve into grammatical elements, such as auxiliary verbs, prepositions, or articles. This occurs when frequently used lexical items lose their specific meanings and take on grammatical functions. 3. Analogical change. Analogical change occurs when speakers extend the use of a linguistic pattern or form to other words or contexts based on similarity. This can lead to regularizations in the language. B. External factors. External factors refer to changes that occur due to language contact, social, cultural, or historical influences from outside the language community. I. Language contact. When speakers of different languages come into contact, their languages may influence each other, leading to borrowing of words, phrases, or grammatical structures. This can result in lexical and structural changes in the recipient language. 2. Cultural and social change. Language is intertwined with culture and society. Changes in cultural practices, norms, and technological advancements can introduce new concepts and vocabulary, leading to linguistic adaptation. 3. Migration and social factors. Population movements and interactions between linguistic communities can lead to language shift and language change. When speakers of one language move to a region where another language is dominant, they may adopt elements of the dominant language into their own speech. 4. Prestige and standardization. The status and prestige of certain languages can influence language change. Languages with higher social status or used in prestigious domains may have a stronger impact on other languages, leading to standardization and language convergence. These causes of language change interact in complex ways, resulting in the continuous evolution and diversification of languages over time. Linguists study language change to better understand the processes behind linguistic variation and its relation to cultural, historical, and societal developments. 19. What is Pidgin? When does it become Creole? Describe. Or, what are the major features of Pidgin? A pidgin is a simplified and makeshift language that develops when speakers of different languages come into contact and need to communicate but lack a common language. Pidgins typically emerge in situations of trade, colonization, or other forms of contact between groups with distinct native languages. Pidgins are not the native language of any community. Instead, they are used as a means of basic communication between speakers with limited proficiency in each other's languages. Characteristics of pidgins. A simplified grammar. Pidgins have a simplified grammar compared to the parent languages. They often lack complex verb conjugations, noun declensions, and other intricate grammatical structures. B. Limited vocabulary. Pidgins have a limited vocabulary, drawing words from the languages of the groups involved in their creation, but without fully encompassing the lexicon of any single language. C. Phonological simplification. Pidgins may have a reduced number of distinct sounds compared to the parent languages, making pronunciation simpler. D. Flexible word order. Pidgins often have a more flexible word order, such as subject-verb-object, SVO, or verb-subject-object, VSO, which allows for easy communication despite different language structures. When a pidgin becomes the native language of a community, passed on from one generation to the next as the primary means of communication, it undergoes a process called creolization, giving rise to a Creole language. Creolization occurs when children born into the pidgin-speaking community acquire the pidgin as their first language. As these children learn and internalize the pidgin, it undergoes significant linguistic expansion and development. The language becomes more complex, acquiring a consistent set of rules for conjugating verbs, forming plurals, and developing its own vocabulary and syntax. As the Creole language becomes the mother tongue of a new generation of speakers, it becomes more stable, functional, and expressive than the original pidgin. Characteristics of Creoles. Native speakers. Creole languages have native speakers who acquire the language as their first language and pass it on to the next generation. B. Complex grammar. Creoles develop more complex grammatical structures compared to pidgins. They have more consistent and standardized rules for grammar and syntax. C. Expanded vocabulary. Creoles have a more extensive and developed vocabulary compared to pidgins, often incorporating words from the parent languages and creating new terms as needed. D. Stable and self-sustaining. Creoles become stable languages used for various purposes, including everyday communication, literature, and formal settings. In summary, a pidgin is a basic and simplified language that emerges as a means of communication between speakers of different languages. When a pidgin becomes the native language of a community and undergoes further linguistic development, it becomes a Creole, a fully fledged language with its own grammar, vocabulary, and syntax. Creolization represents the maturation and stabilization of the language into a fully developed linguistic system with native speakers. 20. What is idiolect? How does it show a person's identity? An idiolect is an individual's unique and personal way of speaking and using language. It refers to the linguistic patterns, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar that are specific to a particular person. Every individual develops their idiolect through their life experiences, social interactions, upbringing, education, and exposure to different languages or dialects. Idiolects are highly personal and can vary significantly from one individual to another, even within the same linguistic community. Each person's idiolect reflects their distinct linguistic habits and choices, making it a key element of their linguistic identity. How idiolect shows a person's identity. A social background. An individual's idiolect often reflects their social background, including their family, community, and cultural influences. Specific expressions, phrases, or pronunciation patterns may be inherited from one's parents or local community, shaping their unique way of speaking. B. Regional and dialectal influence. The idiolect may include elements from the individual's regional dialect or the dialects of the places they have lived or spent time in. Certain regional words or pronunciations can become part of a person's idiolect. C. Educational background. Education can influence an individual's idiolect by introducing formal language usage, vocabulary, and grammar rules. People with higher levels of education may incorporate more formal language features into their speech. D. Personal experiences and interests. Idiolects can be shaped by personal experiences, interests, and hobbies. Individuals might adopt specialized vocabulary related to their professions or hobbies, showing their linguistic identity in those areas. Socioeconomic status. Socioeconomic status can influence language use and vocabulary choices. Certain linguistic patterns and vocabulary may be associated with specific social classes, reflecting a person's identity within their social context. F. Accommodation and social identity. In social interactions, people may adjust their idiolect to accommodate the speech patterns of those they are talking to. This accommodation can be a way of signaling shared identity or building rapport with others. G. Slang and pop culture. Individuals may incorporate slang or expressions from popular culture into their idiolect, reflecting their affiliation with specific social groups or subcultures. Overall, an idiolect is a highly personalized linguistic fingerprint that reveals aspects of a person's social, cultural, and individual identity. It represents the unique way in which individuals express themselves and communicate with others, making language a powerful tool for understanding and connecting with each other on a deeper level. 21. What is language death? How does a language die? Language death, also known as language extinction, occurs when a language ceases to be spoken and used as a means of communication within a community. It happens when there are no remaining native speakers of the language, and it is no longer passed down to new generations as their mother tongue. Language death is a gradual and complex process influenced by various social, cultural, and historical factors. How a language dies. A language shift. Language death often begins with language shift, where speakers of a language start to adopt another language as their primary means of communication. This can happen due to social, economic, political, or cultural influences, such as the dominance of a more widely spoken language or the influence of the language used in education, media, or government. B. Intergenerational transmission. For a language to survive, it needs to be passed down from one generation to the next. When parents and caregivers stop transmitting the language to their children, and the younger generation learns and uses a different language, the process of language death accelerates. C. Reduced language use. As a language becomes less prevalent in daily life and social interactions, its domains of use become limited. It may be restricted to specific traditional or religious contexts or used only among elderly speakers. D. Dominance of another language. Language death often occurs in multilingual societies, where one language becomes dominant due to factors like political power, economic opportunities, or cultural influence. The dominant language supersedes smaller languages in various domains, leading to their decline. E. Lack of prestige and support. Languages considered minority or lesser used may face a lack of prestige and support in official contexts, education, and media. This can lead to decreased motivation to maintain or promote the language, accelerating its decline. F. Cultural and social changes. Societal changes, such as urbanization, globalization, and migration, can disrupt traditional language use and foster a shift towards dominant languages prevalent in urban centers or globalized contexts. G. No new speakers. The final stage of language death occurs when the last remaining native speakers of the language pass away, leaving no new generation of speakers to continue using the language. Language death is a significant concern for linguists, anthropologists, and advocates of cultural diversity. It represents the loss of unique knowledge systems, cultural expressions, and ways of understanding the world that are embedded in each language. Efforts to document, revitalize, and preserve endangered languages are essential to safeguard linguistic and cultural heritage for future generations. 22. What is language shift? Why do you think that a speech community shifts to another language? Language shift is a sociolinguistic phenomenon that occurs when a speech community transitions from using one language as their primary means of communication to adopting another language. It is a gradual process influenced by social, cultural, economic, and political factors, leading to the decline of the original language in favor of a dominant or more widely spoken language. Reasons for language shift. Of social prestige. The status and prestige associated with a language can significantly impact language shift. If one language is perceived as more prestigious or associated with higher social, economic, or political opportunities, speakers may shift to that language to gain advantages in various domains. B. Economic factors. Economic opportunities and job prospects can influence language shift. If a specific language is favored in the job market or is required for certain professions, speakers may adopt it to enhance their employment prospects. C. Education. The language used in the educational system can play a crucial role in language shift. If schools use a different language for instruction, children may learn and use that language more frequently, leading to a shift away from their home language. D. Media and entertainment. The dominance of a language in media, literature, and entertainment can influence language preference among speakers. Exposure to media content and literature in a particular language can lead to its adoption in daily life. E. Urbanization and migration. Urbanization and migration often bring speakers of different languages into contact. In urban areas or places with diverse populations, the dominant language may be adopted as a lingua franca for ease of communication. F. Political factors. Government policies and official language decisions can impact language shift. If the government promotes or imposes a particular language, it may become more dominant in various spheres of public life. G. Cultural influences, cultural assimilation and the desire to integrate into a dominant culture can lead to language shift. This is particularly relevant in situations of colonization or cultural imperialism. H. Interethnic marriage. Interethnic marriages can facilitate language shift if the partners come from different language backgrounds and choose one language to be used in their household and with their children. I. Globalization. The interconnectedness of the world due to globalization can lead to the spread and adoption of dominant languages as vehicles of international communication. Language shift can occur gradually over generations, with younger speakers increasingly using the dominant language while older generations still retain the original language. As intergenerational transmission of the original language diminishes, the shift becomes more pronounced, leading to a reduced number of speakers and eventual language endangerment or death. It is essential to understand the complex interplay of these factors to develop language policies that support linguistic diversity and the preservation of endangered languages in the face of language shift. 23. Write short notes on the following topics. A. Broadening. In linguistics, broadening is a semantic change process that refers to the expansion of the meaning of a word over time. It occurs when a word that originally had a specific or narrow meaning evolves to encompass a wider range of reference or contexts. Broadening is one of the common types of semantic change that languages undergo as they evolve and adapt to the needs of their speakers. There are two main types of broadening. Generalization. In generalization, the word's meaning expands to include additional related concepts or instances. The word becomes more inclusive and can be applied to a broader range of reference than its original specific meaning. Example of generalization. The word mouse originally referred to a small rodent. However, with the advent of computers, the term mouse was generalized to refer to a computer input device that resembles the shape of the small rodent and is used for pointing and clicking on the screen. Amelioration. In amelioration, the word's meaning evolves to acquire a more positive or favorable connotation than its original meaning, which might have been neutral or negative. Example of amelioration. The word nice originally meant foolish or silly in the Middle Ages. Over time, its meaning broadened and shifted to its modern sense of being pleasant, kind, or agreeable. Broadening is a natural process in language development, often resulting from cultural and technological changes, as well as shifts in social attitudes. As societies evolve, new concepts and ideas emerge, leading to the expansion of vocabulary and the semantic evolution of existing words through processes like broadening. It is through these ongoing changes that languages adapt and remain relevant to the needs of their speakers in various contexts and historical periods. B. Narrowing. In linguistics, narrowing is a type of semantic change process that refers to the restriction or reduction of the meaning of a word over time. It occurs when a word that originally had a broader or more general meaning becomes more specific and limited in its referential scope. Narrowing is one of the common mechanisms of semantic change in languages and can result from various linguistic and cultural factors. There are two main types of narrowing. Specialization. In specialization, a word's meaning becomes more focused on a particular subset of its original reference or contexts. The word sheds some of its broader meanings and becomes more precise in its usage. Example of specialization. The word meat originally referred to any type of food. Over time, its meaning has narrowed to specifically refer to animal flesh used as food, excluding other types of sustenance. Pejoration. In pejoration, a word's meaning evolves to acquire a more negative or derogatory connotation compared to its original neutral or positive meaning. Example of pejoration. The word villain originally referred to a farm laborer or a peasant. However, over time, its meaning narrowed to describe a wicked or evil person, typically in the context of literature or storytelling. Narrowing can occur due to various factors, including changes in cultural practices, technological advancements, or the need for more precise vocabulary in specific domains. As language evolves and adapts to different societal contexts, some words undergo semantic narrowing, while others may experience broadening or other forms of semantic change. These processes contribute to the richness and flexibility of language, allowing it to accurately express a wide range of concepts and ideas in various contexts. Best of luck!